Welcome to AI in 5 minutes a day, the podcast that breaks down artificial intelligence without frying your brain. In this episode, we're tackling the basics. How AI thinks. Spoiler, it doesn't think like us. Why it confidently makes mistakes. Why Europe is betting on AI regulation while the US and China are going full speed ahead. Whether you're a tech geek, AI curious, or just trying to sound smart in conversations, this is your shortcut to keeping up with the future, one quick episode at a time. Let's get into it. So, can AI really think like a human? Some people insist that machines can't think like humans because, well, they're not human. Groundbreaking conclusion, right? But here's a better question. Does thinking differently mean not thinking at all? Humans don't all think the same way. Some are logical, some emotional, some make life decisions based on astrology. So why not consider that AI could have its own form of intelligence? Food for thought. Now let's think a bit about the math behind AI and why it is not as mystical as it sounds. According to Stéphane Malin, a French mathematics professor, our whole concept of thinking is kind of flawed. AI follows algorithms, basically a set of instructions that process and organize data, like sorting numbers or generating text. This isn't the same as human thought, but it's still a form of problem solving, just a different one. Translation: AI isn't writing poetry because it's heartbroken, but it sure can generate a convincing sonnet. If we take it from clunky code to smart machines, it all started a while ago. In the 1980s, AI was all about logic-based systems, great in theory, not so great in practice. Then, in the 2000s, came the AI boom. Thanks to neural networks, AI went from meh to whoa in areas like image recognition and text generation. Basically, AI stopped being a glorified calculator and started doing things that actually impress us. Let's try and decode the buzzwords. What are neural networks? Algorithms trained to recognize patterns, like identifying a dog in a photo instead of just seeing a blob of pixels. And what do we mean by large language models, LLMs? AI that predicts the next word in a sentence based on probability. The more it's trained, the better it gets, at least in theory. Fun fact, this is why AI sometimes makes up nonsense. It's not lying, it's just very confident in its bad guesses. Then, how do AI learns? Spoiler, not like you do. Unlike humans, AI doesn't learn by reading a dictionary or memorizing definitions. What we could call the old school AI from the 1960s-90s followed rule-based logic, strictly defined patterns, like teaching a robot to recognize faces by listing features. A head is round, has eyes, a nose, etc. Our modern AI now follows a more statistical learning. AI figures things out by analyzing massive amounts of data, not by following rigid rules. So why did rule-based AI flop? Because real-world data is messy. Think. Faces at weird angles, glasses, bad lighting, and yes, unruly bangs covering your eyes. Humans adjust to this effortlessly, but early AI literally panicked. Bottom line, AI doesn't think like us, but that doesn't mean it's not thinking. It's just playing a different game with different rules, and sometimes it cheats by confidently making stuff up. But then really, how does AI actually learn? Let me give you a hint. It's not magic, just math. And as for a lot of things, AI learning had and still has to go through numerous trials, errors, and endless adjustments. As we said, AI doesn't learn the way humans do. It actually learns by making mistakes. It adjusts internal settings every time it gets something wrong. Over time, it fine-tunes itself until it gets better at predicting the right answer. The goal? Generalization, so it can handle new, unseen examples, not just memorize past data. Basically, AI is like that one student who crams past exams and hopes for similar questions on the real test. Then how did it go from rule following to learning by experience? Old AI, or also called structuralism, went through a face equals a nose plus 2 eyes plus ears. Rigid, rule-based, and pretty bad at dealing with real-world messiness. Modern AI, called empirical learning, evolved to, here are a million faces, figure it out. Find patterns, make predictions, and roll with it. This mirrors an old philosophy debate. Rationalism for structural AI, or when the knowledge comes from rules and logic, versus empiricism for modern AI, or when knowledge comes from experience and probability. Translation: old AI was a strict librarian. New AI is a data-hungry detective. And that's a wrap for this episode of AI in 5 minutes a day. Thanks for tuning in and taking a quick dip into the wild world of AI with me. We've barely scratched the surface, and trust me, there's a lot more to unpack. Next episode, we're diving deeper into how AI actually learns, beyond just pattern matching, and what that means for how we use it every day. Don't miss your next bite-sized trip into the future of tech. See you soon.